So glad you joined us here. Your host, Dr. John Coben here. You're seeing beside me Mr. Richard Ciappini, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about some stuff here in just a minute. But I want to go over a few quick things, take care of some housekeeping, some business before we move on to the interview with him. One is the slang words section. Every week I try to give folks some slang words that they can get ready for when they come to Chile, and here they are. Here's your words for the week. The first one is jeton, jeton. And jeton is an idiot or a fool. That's J-E-T-O-N with an apostrophe or an accent mark on the O, written on the O. The next one is jote. Jote, that's someone that's always on the prowl for women. Jote. And then we have julepe. Julepe is fear. Somebody's got a lot of scare, a lot of fear. What did it mean? Quilteri is kind of a combination of two words. Like quiltro means a mutt, just any old street dog you find. You have no idea if it has special breeding, probably not. It's just a street dog. There are lots of street dogs, stray dogs in Chile. But a quilteri is kind of a nice way of saying it's sort of a mutt, but not really, because it's kind of got a little bit of fox terrier in them. So that's what they transform quiltro into quilteri. And it generally would just mean a dog that's not a pure breed. But it's a dog that's not a pure breed that might be in somebody's home. So there's your four slang words: jeton, jote, julepe, y quilteri for the week. Other things happening in Chile that should be of interest to folks. Rancagua and Chillán are the most polluted cities in Chile for air pollution. Now, a lot of people think, well, Santiago's got the worst smog. It's not necessarily true. Santiago smog is really only a problem in the winter months. Other than that, and that would be, say, not too far from now, end of May, perhaps June, July, August, and part of September as well. That's when the inversion layer really sets in, and Santiago's got some bad smog days. But because of the wood heating down south, for cities further south especially, there's actually an inversion layer in each of those cities as well. And Rancagua actually has worse air than Santiago, and so does Chillán, which is just almost a Concepcion if you keep going down the Central Valley. Notoriously, cities like Osorno down further south are even known to be even smoggier than Santiago as well. So when you're looking at air pollution, don't think you can get out of the air pollution only by leaving Santiago in the winter. At least there are some other cities that also have problems with the air pollution. And respiratory infirmities or sicknesses are within the 10 top reasons that people die or causes of death in Chile. We also have some statistics about the fire in Valparaiso. The fire in Valparaiso ended up killing 15 or claiming 15 lives. Unfortunately, 2,900 homes were destroyed. Initial estimates were around 1,800 to 2,000, maybe 2,100. The government now says there were 2,900 destroyed. And there were 12,500 people that suffered some sort of damage from that fire. In other news, we have inflation, the inflation problem in Chile. Well, it's ramping up again, folks. In April, we jumped 0.6% just in 1 month. And you can tell here because the local price index, the UF is called, the Unidad de Fomento, has been rising sharply. Well, why is this? Because the dumb central bank here, pardon me for saying that, the Keynesianized central bank here continues to inflate the money supply, trying to peg the dollar, keep the dollar above 500 pesos to the dollar. And so that's why. So we're having some inflation. Again, it's not affecting those who have automatic adjustments for rents or mortgages or for people who have salaries, because they receive automatic adjustments to those wages. So they may have to catch up a little bit, but in general it's not affecting them in the long term. But inflation is a little bit of a problem right now because of the bunglings of the central bank. All right. Now, having said all that, I've got a couple more things we're going to talk about in the ensuing segments, but I wanted to devote the rest of the time we have this segment, at least in maybe part of the next one, to talk with Richard here. Well, welcome to the show, Richard. Now, when you speak, you need to put you need to speak right into the microphone. When I talk, I'll have to pull it back to make sure you just have one mic today.
All right, John. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, tell us about you a little bit about where you live. You used to live in Iquique, where you're living now in Vicuña. Give us an overview of these places.
Yeah, definitely. I used to live in Iquique. I agree with Bert. Iquique is the place to be if you don't like rain and if you're looking for a nice weather. As you see here, the weather is always nice. The same thing in Vicuña. Vicuña is another desert/watery area. There's a river that runs down the valley. So
that's the Elqui River, right?
It's the Elqui, yeah.
And they still get a few inches of rain down there. It's not completely dry like here.
Well, it rains quite a bit. I would say 3-4 times a year. is what they have.
Yeah.
And the weather is a little colder during winter time than Iquique, so the gaps are a little larger. There's a lot of agriculture in the Elqui Valley, to the opposite to Iquique, where we don't have agriculture here at all.
There's no water. Now, the water comes from Iquique, piped in from Antofagasta, as far as I understand, about 500 kilometers south.
Yes,
Iquique has, at least in Vicuña, you got your own water supply.
Yeah, absolutely. You have the Rio Elqui and Rio Turbio that cross the valley, and you have a lot of vegetation. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the grapes that are exported to Europe and the U.S., they come from the Elqui Valley, as well as...
Now, just so people can get an idea of where this is, the Elqui Valley, the river runs from the mountains through Vicuña, where he's talking about, Richard talking about, and it runs out to sea at La Serena. So if you're looking at your maps, 4 hours north of Santiago, La Serena is a well-known beach area in some mining and other interests there as well. But he's inland from there about an hour, and there's public transportation that gets you in there. Why would an expatriate want to live in Vicuña?
Well, as a matter of fact, we are 7 hours. Vicuña is 7 hours by bus, and there is a bus service direct
from Santiago.
From Santiago,
yeah.
And from La Serena, it's about an hour and a half by bus. And the buses run continuously. You know, in Chile, people do rely on public transportation. Why Vicuña? One of the main reasons is delinquency. It's one of the least.
Crime, you mean?
The crime and other type of, and you know, in Latin America you have the drug problem, and Vicuña has the least of this problem. In general, you may have mentioned this, corruption is very little in Chile. It's one of the best. It was rated even better than the U.S. And a small town, sometimes you feel safer. And I met a social life that I miss from the days I was a young guy, where we used to visit each other without having to call and check if people are at home or not. I do receive people come and visit me, ringing the bell and enter, of course, always or most of the time with whatever they have, grapes, raisins, or any kind of fruit. Or I go, if I feel like going to visit somebody, I just go and ring the bell and go in.
Oh, great. Now, Richard, you came from, correct me if I'm wrong, you've been in Chile about 7 years. You came from Lebanon, but you've also had some time in the U.S. You speak Arabic, French, English, you understand Italian, and Spanish now. And your Spanish is excellent for 7 years in country. And now you're operating a business there that you'd like to even invite people to come and see if they want to visit the Elqui Valley. You've got a promotion that not only can they visit, but you're willing to even hold their hands and help them get accustomed to Chile, as I understand. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I worked as a cultural expert and advisor for the U.S. government for several years. And because I speak many languages, I speak a little bit of other languages or spoke other languages during my life. I traveled a lot, so this makes me able to help people understand other cultures, and I can hold hands until people are able to get a mix or get integrated to the
Now,
culture.
is this just wealthy people, or does it include any kind of people? How much does it cost to get their hand held and get used to Chile and learn some Spanish?
No, any person. As a matter of fact, I had a person from Northern California who was here in February, March, April, and he's a retired teacher. So he's from a middle class who was looking for a place to move in. He wanted to move in Latin America, and I did give him his cultural immersion briefing on how to do things, how to interact with people. We even went to parties like a baptism in a village. So he had to talk to farmers, to people from all walks of life, as a matter of fact. And then my hostel, he was able to meet people from other countries as well.
How do they get in touch with you? What's your email address and your phone number, anything you can give them for contact? What's the name of the hostel?
Well, the best way to get in touch with me is through Facebook, Hostal Aljaras with an Y, Y, or my email, which is hostalalyaras@gmail.com.
And how do we spell that? Hostel is Hostel.
No, hostal is the Latin way.
Hostal.
Al Yaras, YARAS @gmail.com.
All right. So Hostal al Jaras
Uh-huh.
at gmail.com.
And by the same token, you can Google it and find the commands on many websites.
And so you'll be able to take care of it. So send Richard an email if you want to get in touch, find out about the Elqui Valley. If you live in Vicuña for a while, it'd be very reasonable and a great way to get in touch with Chile. You're listening to Red Hot Chile on the Overseas Radio Network. This is Dr. John Coben. We'll be back in just a second.